I welcome you all for this discussion on the state and center relations. Let us have the quick look about the content that we are going to cover during our discussion. Introduction, center state relation by legislative relation, administrative relation and the financial relation. The Constitution of India, being a federal in structure, divides all powers, that is, legislative, executive, and financial, between the center and the states. However, there is no division of judicial powers as the Constitution has established an integrated judicial system to enforce both the central laws as well as state laws. Though the center and states are supreme in their respective field, the maximum harmony and coordination between them is essential for the effective operation of the federal system. Hence, the Constitution contained elaborate provision to regulate the various dimensions of the relations between the center and state. The state and center relations can be studied under the three heads. First is legislative relation, that is legal relation, administrative relation, and the financial relation. Legislative relations. Article 245 and 255 in Part 9 of the Constitution deals with the legislative relation between the center and the state. Beside these are some other articles dealing with the same subject. Like any other federal constitution, the Indian Constitution also divides the legislative power between the center and the state with respect to both territory and the subject of legislation. Further, the Constitution provides for the parliamentary legislation in the state field under the 5 extraordinary situation as well as the center's control over state legislation in the certain cases. Thus, there are 4 aspects in the center-state relation with territorial extent of central and state legislation. Distribution of legislative subject, that is parliamentary legislation in the state field and the center's control over the state legislation. Then the administrative relation. Article 256 to 263 in Part 11 of the Constitution deals with the administrative relation between the centers and the state. In addition, there are various other articles pertaining to the same matter. First is distribution of executive powers. The executive powers has been divided between the center and the state on the line of distribution of legislative power, except in a few cases. Thus, the executive power of center extend to the whole of the India, to the matter on which the Parliament has exclusive power of legislation. That is the subject enumerated in Union List. 2. To the exercise of rights, authority and jurisdiction conferred on it by any treaty or agreement. Similarly, the executive power of the state extend to its territory in respect of matter on which the state legislature has exclusive power of legislation, that is the subject enumerated in the state list. The second is obligation of state and the state, center and the state. The Constitution has placed 2 restrictions on the executive powers of the state in order to give ample scope to the center for exercising its executive power in an unrestricted manner. Thus, the executive power of every state is to be exercised in such a way, first, as to ensure compliance with the laws made by the Parliament and any existing law which apply in the state. B. As not to be impaired or prejudice the exercise of executive powers of the center in the state, while the former lays down a general obligation upon the state, the latter imposes the specific obligation on the state not to hamper the executive power of the center. In both the cases, the executive power of the center extend to giving of such direction to the state as are necessary for the purpose. The sanction behind this direction of the center is a coercive in nature, that is, forced in nature. Thus, the Article 365 says that where any state has failed to comply with it, give effect to any direction given by the center, it will be lawful for the president to hold that situation has arisen in which government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provision of the constitution. It means that in such situation the president rule can be imposed in the state under Article 356. The center's direction to the states. In addition to the above cases, the center is empowered to give the direction to the state with regard to the exercise of their executive powers in the following manner. The construction and maintenance of mean of communication by the state, the measure to be taken for the protection of the railways within the state, the provision of adequate facilities of instruction in the mother tongue at primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority group in the state. Fourth, the drawing up and execution of specified scheme for the welfare of the scheduled tribe in the state, and the coercive sanction behind the central directory section under Article 365 is also applicable in these cases. Then, cooperation between the centers and state. The Constitution contains the following provision to secure the cooperation and coordination between the center and the states. First, the Parliament can provide for the adjudication of any dispute or complaint with respect to the use, distribution and control of water of any interstate river and river valley. President can establish an interstate council to investigate and discuss the subject of common interest between the center and state. Such a council was set up in 1990. Full faith and credit is to be given throughout the territory of India to public act, records and judicial proceedings of the center and every state. The Parliament can appoint an appropriate authority to carry out the purposes of the constitutional provision relating to interstate freedom to trade, commerce and intercourse. But no such authority has been appointed so far. Then the next is integrated judicial system. Though India has a dual polity, there is no dual system of administration of justice. The Constitution, on the other hand, established an integrated judicial system with the Supreme Court at the top and the center at the below it. The single system of court enforces both the central law and the state laws. This is done to eliminate the diversities in remedial procedures. Also, the judges of the state high courts are appointed by the president in consultation with the Chief Justice of India and the governor of the state. They can also be transferred and removed by the president. The parliament can establish a common high court for two or more states. For example, Maharashtra and Goa or Punjab and Haryana have a common high courts. Relation during the emergencies. During the operation of national emergencies, the center become entitled to give a executive direction to the state on any matter. Thus, the state government are brought under the complete control of the center, though they are not suspended. When the president rule is imposed in the state, the president can assume to himself the function of the state government and power vested in the governor or any other executive authority in the state. During the operation of the financial emergency, the center can direct the state to observe the canons of the financial proprietary, and the president can give other necessary direction, including the reduction of the salaries of the persons serving in the state and the high court judges. Then the financial relations. Article 268 to 293 in Part 12 of Constitution deals with the center-state financial relations. Besides these, there are other provisions dealing with the same subject. These together can be studied under the following heads. First, allocation of taxing powers. The Constitution divides the taxing power between the center and the states in the following ways. Parliament has exclusive power to levy taxes on the subject enumerated in the Union list. The state legislature has an exclusive power to levy the taxes on subjects enumerated in the state list. Both the Parliament and the state legislature can levy the taxes on the subject enumerated in concurrent list. The residuary power of taxation is vested in the Parliament. Under this provision, the Parliament has imposed gift tax, wealth tax, and expenditure tax. Distribution of tax revenues. The 80th Amendment 2000 and the 88th Amendment made in 2003 have introduced the major changes in the scheme of distribution of tax revenue between the center and the state. The 80th Amendment was enacted to give effect to the recommendation of a 10th Financial Commission. The Commission recommended that out of the total income obtained from certain central taxes and duties, 29% should go to the states. This is known as the alternative scheme of devolution and came into effect retrospectively from April 1, 1996. This amendment has brought several central taxes and duties like corporation tax and the custom duties at par with the income tax as far as their constitutionally mandated sharing with the state is concerned. 88th Amendment has added a new article, that is 268, dealing with a tax, service tax. It also added a new subject in the Union list, entry 92C. Service tax is levied by the center but collected and appropriated by the both center and state. After these two amendments, the present position in this regard is as follows. Taxes levied by the center but collected and appropriated by the state. According to this category include the following taxes and duties like stamp duties on the bill of exchange, checks, promissory note, policies of insurance, transfer of share and others. And secondly, excise duty on medicinal and toilet preparation containing alcohol, narcotics. The proceeds of these duties levied within any state do not form a part of Consolidated Fund of India but are assigned to the state. The second type is service tax levied by the center but collected and appropriated by the center and the state. Taxes on services are levied by the centers, but their proceeds are collected as well as appropriated by both centers and the state. The principle of these collection and appropriation are formulated by the Parliament. Taxes levied and collected by the center but assigned to the states. The following taxes fall under this category. Taxes on the sale or purchase of the goods in the course of interstate trade or commerce. Taxes on consignment of the goods in the course of interstate trade or the commerce. The net proceeds of these taxes do not form a part of Consolidated Fund of India. They are assigned to the concerned state in accordance with the principle laid down by the Parliament. Then, taxes levied and collected by the center but distributed between center and the states. This category includes all taxes and duties referred to in the Union list except the following. Duties and taxes referred to in Article 268, 268(8) and 269 mentioned above. Surcharges on the taxes and duties referred to in Article 271 and any cess levied for the specific purposes. The manner of the distribution of the net proceeds of these taxes and duties is prescribed by the President on the recommendation of Finance Commission. Surcharge on the certain taxes and duties of the purpose of the Centre. Parliament can at any time levy the surcharges on taxes and duties referred to in Article 269 and 270. The proceeds of such surcharges go to the Centre exclusively. In other words, the state have no share in these surcharges. In this particular discussion, we came to know that how there are different types of relation between the Centre and state and how these relations are shared. The different types of relations are legislative, financial, relations. So, I hope you understood all the relations between the Centre and state. Thank you for watching.